Going on, yo? How's your guys' day going? Hope you're having a good day. Day's okay. Thank you for asking. Yet again, here I am responding to Druski as he has made another wonderful skit. Beautiful. Hilarious. Can't put it into words. What I felt when I first saw that. It really is insane how someone, or even just people, can have the ability to do something so beautiful. And I know that might be a weird word, because you typically don't hear people speaking of humor in that kind of way. But there's a science behind it. In fact, there is a level of intelligence that it takes to be intentionally funny that I wish more people understood. I really do. And it drives me insane that we don't think of humor as a form of intelligence. You have to be a very witty and smart and especially emotionally, socially adept person to be able to be funny on purpose. It's one thing to be funny by accident, right? Because you might be naive, you might be just unintentional in general. Like children, right? Like children, they are some of the most funny people you will ever meet in your life because they don't know what it is they're doing, and that's what makes it funny. However, in this instance, obviously, Druski knows exactly what he's doing and is succeeding so much so, and this is the kicker, this is the part that you know is what makes him funny, is the fact that people are reacting as they do, right? That's how you know that he's hitting, I want to say, the absurdity. And I choose that word very, very carefully, because in my, how should I say, I guess with what I understand about, I guess, people, just in a general sense, and I don't know this scientifically, again, this is just what I think. Humor, or just being funny, or laughing even, you could say, just the act of laughing, is your brain realizing the absurdity of reality and telling yourself that it's not real. That's what I think laughing is. It's when your brain sees something that is not a part of the routine, I suppose, and it catches you off guard, obviously, but then you laugh as a relief, almost like your brain is telling yourself that this thing is not a part of whatever routine you have created. Because when you have routine, things are benign. They're just simple, right? And so you know what to expect. That's why when they say, oh, it caught you. The laugh caught you. You were caught in a laugh, right? Like it hits you. You don't choose whether or not you laugh, most of the time at least. Unless, obviously it's intentional, like where you're purposely like, no, that's too serious. I don't want to laugh at that. Oh, that's a subject I don't want to laugh at, right? Like that's obviously you're doing that on purpose. But like, for example, farts, right? Farts are universally funny, or people falling, right? Like it hits you and you don't necessarily have I don't want to say a choice, but it just hits you in a way where you're just like, oh, that kind of caught me off guard. And so anyways, Druski is so smart. He's so smart, for one. I'm really glazing him. I hear myself glazing him. But he's just he knows exactly how to mimic not just the action, but the intention. And so I don't want to get too deep into the glazing, but I wanted to talk about more so people's reaction, just like I did when he had done the skit with the church, which I made a video to. So this is going to sound very similar to that video. If you haven't seen it, it'll make more sense if you go watch it. But basically, you can tell what type of people are reacting to this, at least the people that are negatively, right? Like you can tell exactly who doesn't like this skit, or even I would say understand, which is one of the biggest problems with humor, is that people, I don't know how the how the process goes of misunderstanding something funny. Because for like, so just to make it more simple for you to understand, Erica Kirk responded, right? She responded to Druski's skit. But her response makes no sense. And what she said, by the way, was a tweet. And she said, but if I did blackface, everyone would essentially be up in arms, right? They would be very upset about what she did. And do I agree with her? To some extent. To some extent, yes, I do think that a lot of people would get upset. However, that's not the point of his skit. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's white or her race in general. The only reason that he even does that is that's him getting into character. That's him playing the bit. You're the fool. When you are humorous, when you are being funny, you literally have to put yourself in the position that you are playing. That's what makes things so funny. So I guess the technical term would be your delivery, for example. So like 99% of the time that I've ever been funny, I think it's not because of what I say. It's not because of my, really anything, I guess. In my opinion, when I'm the most funny is when I have good delivery, right? So you are capable of acting out, in the most literal sense, acting out what it is that you're doing. And that's what makes it funny, is because you are perfectly mimicking the absurdity of the thing and making it look real. But your mind knows it's not real. And that's what makes it funny. It's like, this thing isn't real, but it is. It's so real and yet so absurd that like your brain almost can't it's like not computing, right? It's like an error. A laugh is an error in reality. That's the best way I can put it into words. Because obviously Druski looks ridiculous. That's what makes it funny. He doesn't look like a human being. He looks like a creature. He looks like a humanoid. And that's what makes it funny, is because that's the point. That's how I do, in my opinion, I do feel as if Erica Kirk is a very, very, well, I don't even know what word to use. She's like creature. She's like a creature, man. The facial expressions he makes. Like, I'm not talking about the things she says, by the way. I'm not talking politically. I'm not talking about who she is as a person. I'm not talking about anything personal. I'm talking strictly her facial expressions and just how she is on a social level. There is something not there for sure. And Druski, like I keep saying, is so beautifully capable of mimicking that like unhuman-like aspect about her. Because she literally does that thing with her eyes. Like if you've seen the skit, that was the number one thing Druski kept doing. It's so funny. It's so funny because he's not acting. He's literally just doing the same exact thing that she was doing, where she holds her Bible and she's talking to people and she goes, yeah, and then the holy children of God. Like, bro, I really wish I was capable of putting it into words what it is he's doing. Like, I can understand what makes it so funny, but it's very hard to articulate something like that. But anyways, the people that are so upset and so hell-bent on being, I guess just upset, I don't even want to use the word offended, but just like a party pooper, basically. Now, do I understand that not everything is funny? Yes, to some extent. Like, for example, I personally don't like Ricky? Is that his name? I think that's his name, Ricky Gervais, right? For some reason, I feel like that's not his name. I'm pretty sure. Anyways, whatever his name is, Mr. Gervais, we'll just call him. And so anyways, he's obviously a very successful comedian. He understands. There's no way that he's up in the big stages, up in those, auditoriums and whatnot, and those thousands of people go to see him and pay money to go, listen to him make jokes for an hour or however long, and he's not funny, right? Like, that just doesn't make sense. But I personally just don't think he's funny. I don't have a problem with him. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. I don't think he's a bad person. I just don't find him that funny. And obviously, I can understand that, yeah, he still is a funny person, despite the fact that I might not find him funny. And so there is a level of understandableness, but like I was saying earlier, the point that I was trying to make is it's the people's reasonings why they think this thing is not funny that's wrong. That's the part where they get it wrong. Nobody's saying that they can't find it not funny, right? Like, you don't have to find Druski's skit funny, but then once they start talking, once they start giving their reasonings as to why it's not funny, you're just like, it's like, no, like, you missed the point. Obviously, it makes so much more sense that you don't think it's funny if you don't even know why it's funny to begin with, right? Like, it's one thing to find something not funny, but it's another to not even know why it's funny to begin with, right? Like, you have to do one to do the other. That's how it works. That's the whole point. It's like, comedians, when comedians critique each other, or when they say things about certain jokes that people have made, they don't just go, oh, that's just not funny. That's just not funny. And then they leave it at that. And then they say that it's because he wasn't wearing the right clothing when he made the joke, right? Like, that's not how that works. And so almost all the people who are upset, which in my opinion, I don't think it's a lot. I feel like it's exacerbated. And I think what they've done is they make it seem like a lot more people are upset, and they're really not. There's a million reasons why people start yapping and talking. I feel like the consensus is that this is funny as hell, and he did a great job. And it's so funny too, because he didn't even have to do that much. He really did. The looks is not the funniest part. The fact that he has all that makeup, all the clothes on, the everything, that is not even the funniest part. And that is the beauty, is that he was capable of creating, or I shouldn't say creating, because that's a very big aspect about humor. Humor is not something created. It isn't something you sculpt. It's taking reality and exposing it in the light. Taking something very real and showing you how ridiculous it is. And that this thing is not that serious. And so, yeah, there's always going to be people who take anything super serious, right? And you're always going to have a group of people who don't think you're funny. You're always going to have those group of people who don't get the joke. But what it says about those people is far more important than what it says about Druski, right? Like, Druski already has made himself very obviously an intelligent person and an entertainer, a very intelligent entertainer, I should say. But it says so much more about whoever is reacting to these things in a negative light. Like, especially the people who saying it's racist. I can't even begin to explain how ridiculous that is. Because first of all, that says what you think about the mimicking of his character is the fact that they're white. That makes no sense. It would have been just as funny if Druski went up there and said, "Oh, hey guys, I'm gonna do a little joke about Erica Kirk," and then he started acting. It would be just as funny. The costume is just a bonus. It's just something added on top to further, exacerbate the absurdity of the joke. And so what that tells me is that these people, number one, care way too much about something that has no place. It has no bearing in any kind of way. Number two, just the fact that their reaction is a retaliation, or I should say, their reaction is, how should I say it? It isn't a dissection. They aren't dissecting his joke. They're dissecting this narrative that it's a racial thing, or that it's a political thing, or that it's an attack, right? All of these things have nothing to do with the fact that it's a joke. When something becomes a joke, it is placed into its own category. It's not meant to be affiliated or associated or even anywhere near the reality or the seriousness of whatever it is you're joking about. That's the whole point. I don't know why it's 2026 and we still can't understand that even if you don't find something funny, your misunderstanding comes from the fact that you are not capable of understanding that's a joke. That's the only reason why you don't understand it. Once you tell yourself, oh, it's just a joke, you understand everything you need to understand. There doesn't need to be this almost like a dissertation about, oh, well, it's just super offensive and, you know, white people this, black people this, right? Like I literally, the perfect example I could think of, I saw a post that was talking about the skit, and they were talking about specifically Erica Kirk's response to Druski. And they were saying, well, if you're going to do blackface, it better be funny, which just goes for anything, right? And so that's a very good point, though. If you're going to do something like that intense, or that, I guess, I don't know, controversial, we'll say, just for the sake of conversation, even though it's not. If you're going to do something like that, you better do it good, which, yes, absolutely. That goes for anything. And I looked in the comments, and the comments was Robert Downey Jr.'s Tropical Thunder, where he plays as that, I can't remember his name. He plays as a black guy, right? He plays as a guy playing as a guy however many times, I can't remember. But basically, he puts on blackface and he gets all dressed up and he acts. And he does a phenomenal job. And people love that film. People love that character of Robert Downey Jr. And what's so funny is that everyone loves it because of the fact of how dramatized it is, how out there it is, and yet he is so into the play, he's so into it, that's what makes it funny. And I saw that in the comments, and it's like, dude, this is a perfect example of exactly what Druski's doing. Druski is doing the exact same thing, but it's opposite, right? He is playing the absurdity. He's playing into the joke. And man, I feel like I'm going in circles. I feel like I'm insane because it makes sense to me, but then when I say these things out loud, it becomes very difficult. It becomes very difficult to pinpoint the core, because I feel like way too often what ends up happening is people dance around the edges of a topic or of a thing without ever getting to the meat, to the middle. It's like, yeah, you can understand this part. Yeah, you can talk about this part. Or maybe you can pick one or two things and have a general idea. But man, you gotta get to the core of it. And the core is literally just her. That's the joke, is Erica Kirk. Druski is doing nothing but taking her and going, hey guys, look how stupid this looks. Isn't this funny? Hey guys, look at this really ridiculous thing. Look how stupid it looks when I do it, just as she does it. That's the joke. That's the beauty. That's the connection. And, you know, you really shouldn't have to explain these things. You shouldn't have to say these things, because it does kind of ruin it in a way where, you know, you make a joke and then somebody's like, well, I just don't understand. What do you mean? What is the significance of the fact that he's white and then he put up all that makeup on and that he's making, you know, jokes about her personality? And like, bro, it's just party poopers, man. Party poopers. It's like, if you don't find something funny, you know, I know people say it all the time, just move on. Don't watch it. Don't put yourself around it. It makes no sense. It would be the same thing with literally anything else. If you don't like a movie, don't watch the movie. If you don't like sports, don't watch sports. And it's like, yeah, if you want to talk about something else regarding that, that's fine. But anyways, it's just, it's funny. It's funny. It really is funny. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, thank you for watching. If you agree, disagree, let me know what you think down below. Hope you have a good rest of your day.